She's on your mind, but are you on hers? Well, there's only one way to find out, and that is by asking yourself this genuine question. Since you got close to her, who often does the calling and the texting? If the answer to this question is her, then dude, you are one hell of a lucky dude. However, if the answer is you, then you need to stay glued to your phone, as all the tricks needed to turn you from a call giver to a call receiver will be adequately discussed. Keep watching. Give her a compliment. The first step needed to get a woman to do the calling and texting daily is by making her think about you all day. And the fastest way to get her thinking about you is by throwing her genuine compliments anytime that you get the chance. For the record, women love it when a guy makes them feel special through words of mouth. Most of them are careless whether these words are true or not. All they care about is your compliments. And buddy, your best bet is to use this to your advantage. Never pass on the opportunity to throw her compliments. A good scenario is when you're both scheduling a date. If she appears looking damn good in that red skimpy dress, then tell her that. If the scent of her cologne or perfume is the first thing that you notice when she walks into the restaurant, let her know how lovely that smell is. If her makeup is adequately applied, then tell her that you feel that she's the most beautiful girl in the world. Or at least the room. Trust me, doing this will get her thinking about you at every opportunity. And these thoughts will in no time translate into daily calls and texts. However, before moving forward, you gotta know that girls receive compliments from several guys every day. So to stand out, you gotta try to be different. Yes, telling her she's pretty is a nice compliment for starters. However, with time, you could begin to go deeper by complimenting her on things that others hardly take notice of. You could compliment her dress sense, her style, her positive approach to situations, or her problem-solving skills. Do this, and see your name topping off the list of guys that she cares about in no time. Don't follow the routine. Another way to get ladies to do the texting and calling is by changing your daily routine. You want to know what I mean by this? Then picture this scenario. You work at the bank while she works for a tech startup. Although not an official agreement, you find yourself calling and texting her around 8 p.m. daily. Well, if you want her to get worried enough to do the calling and texting, then consider changing the routine. You could leave her hanging for some days if you're the type that makes efforts to call and text daily. Trust me, if you get it right, she's gonna begin to text you. This reminds me of my experience that I had with an ex. I loved Tracy so much that I could do anything to make her happy. A few months into our relationship, I began to realize that I was the only one initiating every conversation, from calling to texting. All was left for me to do. Funny enough, I made it a habit of sending her a goodnight text by about 11 p.m. every day. I stuck so much to this routine that I couldn't sleep unless I had sent it to her. It wasn't right. Well, you want to know how I broke free from this one-sided relationship? I ceased communication with Tracy. It all began to clear up when a close friend of mine pointed to the fact that within a week, Tracy had only called me once, and to get her to do the calling, I had to change my daily texting routine. Truthfully, it was difficult at first. However, with time, I stopped sending the goodnight text daily. The moment that she noticed a change in my texting time, she began initiating calls and text, and before I knew it, her calls and texts were coming in daily. Buddy, the moment that she knows your text is going to come at an appointed time, or you always give her a call the moment you get back from work, she would feel so relaxed and never make a move to call or text you first. However, if you take her by surprise by doing things differently, she will begin to call and text first. Ask open-ended questions. Another way to get ladies to text and call is by asking open-ended questions. Ask her open-ended questions that show that you're interested in her, you care about her, and you want to know her on a personal level. This would, of course, make her feel special, and believe me when I say nothing makes a girl think about a guy more than when that guy makes her feel like she's the only one who matters in the entire universe. Down to the fun part, the moment she begins thinking about you, then her chances of calling and texting significantly increases. While this trick may seem easy, most guys struggle to implement it in their chats with ladies. And if you fall under such category of guys, then you should consider making a change. The best way to throw open-ended questions is by paying attention to the things that she says. Yeah, go figure. Picture this scenario. You're chatting with your lady or a lady and your discussion seems to be taking a downturn. You can smart things up by chipping in some open-ended questions. If the topic of discussion's on pets, you could ask her this. What do you prefer, dogs or cats? Instead of do you prefer dogs to cats? It's a slight difference, but asking open-ended questions is a really powerful way of creating a connection with ladies. You don't even have to say dogs or cats. You could just say, what's your favorite type of animal? It allows them to open up to you about certain aspects of their lives, or at least it prompts it. And these things they might not talk about that often. And the moment this begins to happen, you can be rest assured her calls will begin to pour in no time. So dude, ensure to always ask open-ended questions in your conversation with ladies, as that is a perfect way to get them thinking about you, and by extension, calling you and texting you daily. play the flower trick. As powerful as the flower trick is, only a few guys seem to have heard about it, not to talk of applying it. If you're one of these oblivious to the trick, then sit back as I demystify its importance. The flower trick is all about sending her flowers with notes carrying lovely inscriptions. It's one of the surefire ways to stir her emotions and get her hooked on you. For better understanding, well, imagine after a busy day at work, you get back to your apartment only to find flowers with a note stating how perfect you are, how much you matter. There's no doubt that you would feel moved enough to call the sender. The same applies for ladies. Sending a lady a bouquet with inscriptions like, "I know you had a tough day, just wanted to remind you, you're super special." Or, "Your existence made me believe in angels. Do have a lovely day, baby girl." It'll get her emotional about you, just enough to make her start calling and texting daily. Although I will say that if you only do any of this with some ulterior motive of getting things in return and it's not actually who you are, it'll fail. It's disingenuous. A lot of guys will try and woo a girl by starting with flowers and stuff like that, and then they'll stop over the course of the relationship. That's not telling her who you really are. Anyways, you do need to tread with caution. The flower trick should only be utilized on rare occasions to actually make it impactful. So don't send flowers to her apartment every single day or even twice a week, as that can go from being cute to being annoying. Ladies don't tend to like it when guys do too much or act a little desperate, and taking the flower trick overboard will make you appear desperate or fake. So never pass on a good opportunity to apply the flower trick. From bouquets of rose flowers to lilies, or even better, figure out what flowers she likes. Send them all the notes carrying romantic inscriptions. Never go overboard with this trick and see yourself going from call giver to receiver. Flirt with her. So many guys fail to realize the power that flirting holds. Some go as far as writing this powerful trick off when it comes to wooing ladies. There's no mincing words. You want her to do the calling and texting, then never pass on the opportunity to flirt with her. Ladies love it when guys they're interested in make flirtatious remarks or stare at them in a way that makes them want to orgasm. Ladies could go great lengths to be in such a guy's good books. Buddy, never see flirting as a game. It's way more than that. In my own opinion, it is the fastest way to create emotional connections even words can't explain. And for the record, girls only text and call guys they feel emotionally attached to. Kind of reminds me of a crazy experience I had with a female friend named Cindy a couple years ago. Well, I was in a relationship with my ex at the time, but I couldn't help but fall for Cindy, who had made it a habit of always being around me. As a playboy that I was back then, I knew that outrightly asking Cindy out would signal the end of my relationship, so I employed the flirting trick. On special occasions, I would steal romantic glances at her. From glances, I progressed to throwing flirtatious remarks, like telling her how sexy her legs looked and how it would be a dream come true to getting her in my bed. Want to know how that all ended? Yeah, take a guess. I'm sure you guessed right. Cindy began doing all the calling and all the texting, and trust me, I did not pass up on my chance. That being said, I shouldn't have done it while I was in a relationship. Guys, if you want to flirt, break up. Anyways, the moment that you master the art of effortlessly flirting, ladies will begin to fall for you and do everything to be around you. From texting and calling and even appearing at your apartment at the slightest opportunity they get, they would utilize all to get your attention. So, if you're among the hard guys who consider flirting to be a waste of time, you might as well change your stance and begin utilizing this trick to get the ladies to do the daily calling and texting. Listen to her. There's no better way to say this, buddy. Shut the hell up and listen. You heard that right. Pay attention to every word that comes out of her mouth and ask questions or make contributions only when you know it's necessary. A lot of girls are naturally talkative. They like to blab about everything, from how their day went to what they experienced at work, their friends who were giving them a hard time, even down to their childhood memories. When you come across that kind of girl, you only have one task, and that is to listen while she talks. You want to know how paying attention to what she has to say could translate into getting her to call and text you daily? Well, hear it. Listening when a girl talks and adding meaningful contributions or making meaningful remarks helps to create a special bond between you and her. It further goes to give her the impression that you are reliable and that you can come through for her in times of trouble. Girls like it when guys tend to have a solution to their problems, and the moment that they start seeing you as one of those guys, they're not going to hesitate to call and text. However, some girls can be a little funny. Reminds me of a conversation I had with this girl who basically outright told me that the character she wouldn't want her man to possess is listening to her. Yeah, I laughed at this claim because I know that's a barefaced lie. As a dude, you're supposed to know what she wants even when she doesn't say it. And going ahead to not paying attention to what she has to say because she said you shouldn't is one of the dumbest moves that you could make when it comes to dating. For the record, listening to her speak wouldn't take a cent from you, so I wonder why you shouldn't. You could decide what you two should talk about, or at least give her a listening ear when she airs out her views. Trust me, if you duly employ the trick of paying attention to details and things that she has to say, you'll notice her doing the calling and texting in no time, as ladies will always have something that they want to talk about, and with their friends, with their best friend, and you should want to be their best friend. Assuming that you're intending on dating this person, of course. Make yourself your priority. One common mistake that men make is throwing everything that they hold dear away just to be with a lady. You see them going out of their way to make a girl they have interest in happy. Some go as far as taking a loan from a friend just to get her the most expensive restaurant in town, or place her on an allowance even though they earn a meager income. If you're one of those guys who prioritizes ladies over themselves, your answer's right here. That's why she never calls or texts you. Ladies are intelligent. They know a guy is at their beck and call and they can move mountains for their sake. The irony of it all is that they hardly appreciate those guys and would rather keep them on the side than stay committed to them. So the best way to get a lady to take you seriously is by proving that you come first in your own life. Buddy, never do things that make her happy but mess with your mental health. Prove to her that you have a life outside of your relationship with her. If you are that type that is hardly occupied, then you could pick up new hobbies or take on new challenges to whittle away time. The goal is to make her see that you have other things begging your attention, and the moment that you achieve this goal, she will ultimately begin to see you as a challenge, a mysterious card, and a hard nut to crack. At this point, her calls and texts are guaranteed to come in daily. Respect her. She might find this silly, as men tend to see women as the ones who get a lot of respect. Well, that's super wrong. Women go through so much disrespect from friends and family, even their own partners. The list is endless. Some men tend to be so disrespectful that they consider opinions from women to be irrelevant. So, you want to get calls and texts from her daily? Be different. Show her some respect. Treat her like, I don't know, a human being. Now, I'm not saying that you should go bowing before her or acting like she's the reason you're alive. God, no. All I'm saying is that you should make her feel comfortable enough to contribute to issues that matter. Show her that her opinion counts. Never bully her because you feel like you're stronger than her, or talk down to her because you think you're smarter than her. Who would want to be with that kind of person? Would you? So doing that is only going to make her detest you, and no one's going to want to call or text someone that they don't like. Not even girls. A movie I watched a couple weeks ago came to mind. So it's a love story centered on two characters. You got Jack and Beatrice. Jack was the CEO of a conglomerate, while Beatrice was a secretary. Being a female secretary, Beatrice faced a lot of bullying from coworkers who would always shut her down during meetings or at times when they needed to air her views on certain issues. Jack, on the other hand, acted differently. He would always seek her opinion before making critical company decisions, and it would always explain complex office terms to her in areas where she lacked understanding. Didn't take long before thoughts of Jack began to linger in Beatrice's mind, and before long, both had turned from coworkers to close friends, with Beatrice doing the calling and texting in most instances. There's an obvious point. There's no point in being rude to a lady. And before you go about treating only ladies that you're interested in with respect, know that so many women can detect fakeness. Trust me, she would know if you're faking respect just to get her attention. So dude, you want her to call and text, respect her. Not only towards her, but to everyone you come across. Don't always be there. Yet another proven method to get her to do the calling and texting daily is by being unavailable sometimes. Yep, you heard it right. Try to not always be there. A lot of guys fail to give women the required space that they need, and the result is that such a man never gets missed. An action which translates to never getting called or texted by her. You want her to act different around you, then act. Be different. By registering your absence in some instances, you will be passing on a clear message that you have a life of your own, and that your entire existence does not revolve around impressing ladies. And it really shouldn't. So if that kind of triggers a self-doubt thought, you might want to take a look at that, because you can't live your life for others. That is an impure motivation that will fail. So to better understand what I mean, picture this scenario. Imagine you work at the bank, and at the end of each day, you get a lot of paperwork needing your attention. The workload becomes so much that you rarely close on time from work. Do you think your work would leave you enough time to hover around her apartment day in, day out? No. What I'm trying to say is, even when you have nothing taking your time, act like you do. The moment that she starts noticing how much of a busy person you are or how greatly occupied you tend to be, she would ultimately begin to make moves to call you and text you daily, as she would have no option. And there you have it, the proven tricks to get her doing the calling and texting. Try to incorporate them in your daily life and see a turnaround in your relationship with the ladies. Also, don't forget to hit the subscription button for more updates. Okay, goodbye.